Welcome to the Heron Outlet YouTube channel. We're back here providing you guys a lot more content, and this time it's not transfer talk and it's not even Inter Miami CF talk. This time we're bringing it all the way down to Fort Lauderdale CF, who should be, and by us, are highly respected. And I have a very important question that derives from a Phil Neville quote for these two guys here. Ian Hest, Alex Winley, you guys are going to be breaking down your top six players from Fort Lauderdale CF on who should be brought up to the first team going into 2022-2023. And just to provide some context, there are sanctions coming up. Miami is going to have to find value in their roster, and the best way to do that is to funnel your players up from the system that you're trying to create here with homegrowns in South Florida. And I'm also saying six players because of what Phil Neville said here in this quote in the midweek press conference.
Yeah, I think we've obviously been monitoring them in the USL. Threes and fours come up and train with us as you see most weeks. But now we're at a stage where we've got a real exciting bunch of young players that are coming through together that have all got similar ability that we need to expose every single day to our environment. We've put them on special programs. We've put them on, to build them up physically, to make them quicker, to make them technically, tactically better. They're working double days 3-4 times a week now. Ian Frey is back in that group. So you're thinking about the bigger picture of this football club when it comes to January next year and we're back for pre-season. I want 6 of them players in my MLS squad on my roster, because ultimately that's what this club is all about. It's about bringing through their own players. And, we've now got a 4-month period where we can get them physically, mentally, tactically, technically ready to be an MLS player. And I think I said it last week that we're in a situation now where I would love to call up 3 or 4 now. Mabika, Harvey probably would have started against Nashville in the last game with the injuries that we had, if the rules would have permitted, in terms of the hardship, in terms of bringing through your own players. So we've got 2 players there that were knocking on the door. We've got 3 or 4 below that are pushing really hard, and we're going on a road trip now where we can probably only call on 16 players, outfield players, where there was another 4 or 5 positions for all these young players to come in and make an impact. So hopefully we can get these players through for next season. We can get them on our roster, and our roster will be better for that.
All right, so with that said, you guys got 6 players that you need to go back and forth on. I know you've been working on your list. We've already debated a little bit. I'm excited to see where you guys go. You guys follow Fort Lauderdale CF closer than I think anybody I personally know and a lot of people personally know. We'll start with Alex first. Give me your 6 Fort Lauderdale CF players that you believe should be moved up to the first team going into 2022 and maybe even beyond.
I will start with the obvious Ame Mabika.
There
We've
you
talked
go.
about
Let's
him
just do the
so many
3 that
times.
we all agree on, right?
Okay, okay,
There's
yeah.
3 that we're
So
gonna agree
Can I
on.
wait? Can I guess them? Can I guess them since I'm like
yeah,
really outside here? All
go
right, so
ahead.
I'm gonna go Mabika,
Yes,
George Acosta, and Mitch Curry.
yes. I think
Those are the
that's
3.
So maybe
unanimous.
we have 4.
Unanimous 3.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
we
Four.
have a 4th because I think Harvey Neville.
Oh, okay. Harvey
We need
Neville's
to
4.
hear
Okay,
from
yeah,
Harvey
yeah.
Neville
He's
too.
had a.
So yeah.
I think a lot of people are kind of undermining what he's done, considering he's Neville's son, and then you could
Yes.
go nepotism this, nepotism that, whatever. But he's actually been pretty surprisingly good, and he probably will get a first team shot the way Phil Neville talks about him, like he talks about Mabika and other players like George Acosta too. It's not just because he's his son; he's played really well with the likes of the Acostas and the Mabikas and the Currys. So,
Yeah.
I guess those are the 4. Are you guys going to debate the last 2?
Sean Hundal. I think he's been training with the first team. I think he has
Ooh.
a really interesting skill set. Yes, he's a number 9, but he's very crafty and creative. And him and Mitch Curry, their strike partnership, it's really nice and clean. They play off each other super well. And the 22-year-old from Canada, Hondo, I do think that you know he's a player that can come up to the first team and have an impact. Maybe not right away, but off the bench, if Inter Miami need a goal next season, he's very intelligent, very crafty. He's just a really silky and smooth on the ball, and I'd like to see him with the first team.
Ian, do you have Sean Hundal on your list?
You forced me to pick 6, and so no, I don't.
I know Neville forced you to pick 6, not me. Neville
Yeah,
forced you to pick 6.
that's really where the tough part of it was, because when I was debating this question, I if I have to pick 6, then he's 7th, and and
Ooh.
so
So the answer is
he's
no.
sort of that odd man out for me. Yeah,
Okay.
because and we'll
All
get
right.
to it. So no, I don't have Hundal in mind. 5th, I
Tell me
would
who's
go.
a yeah.
Yeah, 5th, I would
Go
go
yeah. Tell me who's above him.
with Brian Rosales. I think that we've forgotten
Oh
about
my
him,
gosh.
and
Yes. Oh man, I'm kicking myself now, but yes, I
yeah,
totally agree.
like I see. So that's what makes this so difficult, right? Is like that's no disrespect to him. That's just saying that there's
Mm,
this other guy over here that has been playing
yeah.
so well that we forget about his run of form early on in the year, and he's such a dynamic player, especially with Miami needing that wingback help. That like he he can do so many things for them that he's probably number 5 for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Let me jump
Yes.
in super quickly.
Yeah.
Just because you said Brian Rosales and you brought up the wingback thing for Inter Miami, how much of this, other than the unanimous 4, even though this might play a part into it too, how much of this has to do with Inter Miami team needs at the moment? Or if it
Um,
Um.
doesn't, it doesn't.
I think
Oh.
it's half cap, half need, and
Yeah.
development. Like
Yes.
you weigh one with the other, and I think that all of the names that we mentioned so far fit all of those, check all of those boxes.
Yeah. I
Maybe not
agree.
so much Mitch Curry with Higuain on the roster though, right?
See, that's where I will push back here a bit. Mitch Curry has played off
On the
of
wing, yeah.
on the side, and he's done well. He's scored a couple of goals there, so he's not an out and out winger, but he's definitely capable of doing well on either wing really. I know for continuing to name players, but I do want to shout out Venton Evans. He's kind of flown under the radar, but I like him as a player. He's so quick. He's very so crafty. He's the typical flying winger. He's akin to 2020 Lewis Morgan, where he would just run at defenders and cut through, and he's really good technically on the ball. And I like watching him a lot. Is he a need that Inter Miami, should get? Not necessarily, but I would like to see him with
But
the first
Alex,
team.
would you do it now? It's not really necessary to me right now for him. Like continue that
Mm,
development for the next couple of years and then see that to fruition. I don't think that they necessarily need him now.
Is
no,
is
they
Venton
don't need him.
Evans player number 6 for you, Alex?
Uh, mm, Actually, yes, I had him on as number 5. Actually,
Oh, number
yeah,
5. Okay.
yeah. I think he's a really intriguing player, and he's shown enough for me to at least get him on the bench, akin to an Ascona or a Gadiri. Just get him on there. Maybe if Inter Miami's up 3-1 against a team, you throw him on for the last couple of minutes, see what if he can run out the defense. So yeah, he is number 5 on my list.
Okay, and Ian, who's your last guy who beats out Sean Hundal at number 7?
This has been, I have wrestled with 8 different names on this. I can't, I don't know which one I'm going to pick, even as I'm speaking right now. I would really like to see more of Felipe Valencia. I feel like we haven't seen enough of him. He has all the markings of what you want from what they like. He for me is the future and is a local kid, and there's a lot of fun stuff about him, but I just haven't seen enough of him. I also
I'll
think
give
like if you're thinking goalkeeper, Zamudio's an obvious thought for what possibly could be, but I would really like to see more of Felipe Valencia.
I'll give you a pass on Valencia and let you go with somebody else, considering he did sign that first team deal. Like Ascona and Gadir. I know Ascona has mostly played for Fort Lauderdale CF, and Felipe Valencia has not been. I don't believe he's been on a roster for Inter Miami this season, despite having the
But
first
then
team
if you
contract. So I'll
do
give you a
that, then
pass on that.
you open things up so much, because then do I go Hardin? Do I go Lu Young? Do like what?
Well,
Where do you
I'm here
go?
to open things up, Ian. I'm here to open things up. You got it. I
There's
mean,
so many
there's.
options with that last pick. That
I think
that
if you
is it Josh Penn coming back that we were talking about earlier? Like there's so many opportunities for they have completely transformed. That's the part that I really want to harp in on. They have completely transformed what they have done in terms of their player development. That there are so many awesome options that they have that their development has been able to do that make it possible to have 10 or 11 options. When you're saying six, there could be many more to come.
Let me ask you this: if you are, we have Mabika as a unanimous decision. Do you or do you not feel that Harden? We're going past six at this point. We're talking about Inter Miami team means in 2022. If Shawcross is not able to play again, given his unfortunate injury that has transpired in the back surgery, he's going to be out 6 to 7 months. Ventura Alvarado is still a big question mark. We really have no idea what's going on with him, other than that he does have an injury and he had a setback and he's out. The center back situation is going to get rough, especially if we do start to look at a move for LGP or Figal. Mabika may not be the only center back called up, and Harden is that number two. Do you bring up both of those guys going into 2022 if things pan out the way that they potentially can?
Not only would I bring up those two, I would also bring up Modesto Mendez, who is, I would say, I guess the number three on that depth chart. He is basically, he does play like a Figal. He's, a bit reckless, but at times it's needed. He does pick up the yellow card, does give away an off penalty, but I like his playing style. He's just a no nonsense defender. He'll fly into tackles. He's very good on the ball. Him and Mabika, they do pair up well. But I do like, both of the Harden brothers a lot. And as far as that goes, I think if Miami get rid of LGP and Figal, Mabika, Rosales, and Modesto Mendez could be the next guys up.
Here's my concern. My biggest concern is that all of USL League One right now is so bunched together, and these guys are developing so much. What are we going to see in these last 5 games from them? Because it's going to determine a lot of their future and the future of Inter Miami. Because that experience of playing under pressure at the teenage and early 20s level that so many of them are means a lot. And so this is really going to be crunch time for them, because if so many of them are going to find their way into the first team next year, whether as starters, possibly, I don't rule that out given what the sanctions are coming. That how they respond and the results that they are able to show in the next coming weeks are going to be huge to determine not only their individual future, but also what Inter Miami looks like in the first team level and what Fort Lauderdale CF looks like at the reserve level for the next 2 years.
So let's track back here because I do think that a lot of these players could be starters, including the Mabikas, given the center back situation and those kinds of things. Um, and maybe it is more than six, right? It could be more than six. And I think that more than six, Neville said 9 to 10 of them were in first team training and will be in first team training throughout the rest of the season. I think that that's a sign of things to come. Um, but let's go all the way back to the beginning and pick your six. Just to run it down, give me your surefire answers on those six players. Alex, I'll start with you because I know Ian's still scratching his chin and trying to figure out who he wants at number 5 and 6. Your everyone's consensus front four, including myself, is George Acosta, Harvey Neville, Mabika, and Mitch Curry. Now, those final two spots for you, Alex, are
Wait, no, I have to
Um,
jump in because we didn't even mention Poplawski.
yeah, yeah. See, the thing about him, I was
That
going to mention him, but he's on loan from Estudiantes, so I don't know if it's going to be
if
a
we
long
if
term
we're
thing.
talking
But
that, that
I,
could be a
I like him
permanent
a
deal.
lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's a good
Okay.
player. He does.
I'll,
Yeah, along if he when you watch him, he plays alongside George
I'm trying to
Acosta
figure it out. I'm trying to
and
figure it out.
yeah, and
Go
Harvey
ahead.
Neville, and
Pick your two.
he does a lot of the dirty work to let George Acosta be George Acosta, and he is also a DM, and he's just a really good player. He allows the creative players to do sort of like Gregory for Inter Miami, but Inter Miami doesn't necessarily have a George Acosta on playing with them currently, but he Poplawski allows George Acosta to dictate and drop deep and whatnot. So yeah, I would definitely actually I'd put him on my list as one of my six. I don't know if Inter Miami has had. Yes, I'll put him on my six because it depends on whether or not he's been training with the first team, which I think he has. I have seen him in a couple of photos, but yeah, I put him on my list for sure.
All right, so I guess Poplovsky is number 5. Who's number 6?
I'm
Benton
running
Evans.
y- yeah. So right now my list is Hundal Mabika, Acosta 3, Curry 4, Venton Evans 6, or actually
Wait, wait.
Venton Evans 5, and Poplawski 6. And oh, but then there's Harvey Neville,
I was
which
gonna
I
say
would
Harvey
also
Neville.
we should do 10. Like 10 is at this point. Oh my
That's what
gosh.
makes this so tough.
Yeah,
Like,
that's really difficult. Like,
Yeah,
people who don't watch Fort Lauderdale CF, you don't understand how difficult it is because there's a lot of really good players on that team and they've been performing week in and week out. So it's like picking a fantasy like soccer team. Like, do you start Grealish or Zinchenko or 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 anyone really. I named 2 Manchester City players. I'm sorry, Austin.
boo.
Really sorry, but yeah, this is really difficult,
all right,
honestly.
all right, Austin. I have my 6. I'm good.
Okay, all
I
right. Give
finally
me a
have it.
6.
Mabika, Neville, Acosta, Curry, that we all agree on. Okay.
Well,
Yes.
Alex was off on Neville there for a second.
Yeah,
She
I blanked, but this is
Okay.
unanimous, but yes, I
Okay,
agree.
those 4. Okay.
If we have that, the last ones that I'm gonna put are Hundal and Brian Rosales. That's my 6.
Hondo and Rosales. Okay.
Good list.
I am I think further back on the Hundal train than you guys are personally, from what I have watched and what I've also seen in training the last 2 weeks. I know
Subscribe
he
to
had a great
ESPN Plus, my
he
friend.
had a great start to the season. I know he had a great start to the season, but I think that if you bring up Mitch Curry, there's really no need for Hundal. Let him develop a little bit more at the Fort Lauderdale level. That's my personal opinion, and I'd rather
That's
just see Mitch
fair.
Curry up there as a 9. I know he can play on the wing, whatever. Just I'm okay with only bringing up Curry. I think there's other areas that Miami need to go with. And
That's
Alex,
fair.
I need your definitive 6.
Okay, my definitive 6 is Hundal, Mabika, Acosta, Curry, Evans, uh, Harvey Neville, and was that
Okay,
6? One, two, three,
that
four.
was a quick
Yeah,
6.
yeah, that was my 6. And Poplawski
Wow,
is the sixth
fringe
man,
player.
seventh
I
player.
think that the most thing that we can agree on is that it's going to be more than 6. The
Yes.
surprising thing when I listened
Oh,
to that was that he just said 6 and that it wasn't more than that. And I think that it very
It's
likely
telling
could be
that
more.
9 to 10 of them are in first team training on a week to week basis and will be for the rest of the season.
y-
That's very telling.
yes. Yeah.
And
It.
one of
It.
those actually was Romeo Beckham too. That's also who is still a raw talent at the moment, but he's there. He's training with guys and going against defenses of LGP and Figo on a week to week basis. So
That's a slippery slope.
that's something to think about. Well,
Yeah, a lot of because
that
the nepotism thing, but honestly, there's talent there, so
of
it's not like
course.
it's not warranted.
Yeah, no,
So
I agree, and the same thing with Neville. I think there's talent there, and
yeah,
they will not necessarily Beckham, but Neville will most likely be called up in 2022. Well, thank you, Ian and Alex, for being the guests on my game show. Pick your 6. I appreciate it. I know that was very tough for you guys, and maybe once they finally make some of the contracts, we'll discuss those contracts and pick the other 6 players under them or something, so just to make it easier on you guys. We can go all the way there. And we're hoping that Fort Lauderdale CF get to make the playoffs and expand our coverage of them as we're always trying to do with any South Florida soccer team. This has been the Heron Outlet. I'm Austin Roblard, and for Alex Winley and Ian Hess, thanks for tuning in to my brand new game show, Pick Your 6. See you guys soon.